Hello everybody, here we are with Torah Life Ministries. We got a great guest today. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pastor Chris Green of Destiny Tabernacle of Worship.
Wonderful, and this is really exciting news because you've been a believer in Yeshua Messiah, a Christian for a very long time. You grew up this way, correct?
No, actually, we were introduced into the Torah by way of the Spirit, and we've been teaching Torah now for over 3.5 years.
Yes, but before that, you've been a Christian for a very long time.
Yes, all
so
my life.
and then so now you were introduced to Torah. So how was it when you changed? What did you first think when you heard of this?
You know, actually, when you first hear about Torah, you don't know whether you're happy or you're mad, because you're battling against all of the false things that you've heard about the Bible. And then when the truth comes along, you're excited about it, but then you get angry because you're thinking to yourself, wow, how could we have gotten so many things wrong for so long? And so mostly we're excited about the Torah. It is a joy.
And being a believer and also a leader, a pastor, why do you think so many Christians, they can go living the lifestyle of being a believer and miss the Torah?
Well, to put it simply, I really believe that a lot of people really still believe that Torah is law. And that is something that it is, we have to break down that misconception of what Torah really is. Torah is just simply guidance and direction, teaching and instruction. And so that is why a lot of Christians do not observe the Torah or practice the Torah, is because they really believe it's the Old Testament. We've come into the New Testament. We're saved by grace. We're no longer under the law, so to speak. And that's the way we were raised in Christendom, to believe that, the Old Testament was the Old Testament. The New Testament was something new. And so that's why I believe that, there's a lot of religious beliefs still out there that Torah is, some restrictive law thing that restricts the Christian's life.
As you started to reveal this revelation to your congregation, what was their reaction?
Their initial reaction was, and I'll never forget, their initial reaction was, oh, wow, we're not quite sure how to take this. Is he changing religions on us? Is he, preaching another doctrine? There's a lot of mixed feelings about it. And people still have, somewhat mixed feelings, just because it contradicts sometimes a lot of tradition and what they grew up in. And I think that's the struggle that people have sometimes coming into the Torah.
What about your family and friends? How's their reaction been?
Well, my family, of course, they love and respect anything, that I do. So they just say, what, Pastor Green is he's going to be him. And, we respect that. And the thing about my family is we respect each other's beliefs and philosophies and things like that. So really from family, it really wasn't a problem. But from friends, however, who grew up in Christendom with me, that was a whole nother thing, especially when we changed our service times from Sunday to Saturday. They were like, whoa, wait a minute, you're going too far in this Torah thing now. It was okay, you changed the way you eat and all of that. We accept that. But I think the real sacred cow was changing our service times.
Wow. And did people leave the congregation over it, or are people still not used to it, or how's that going?
Well, Yahweh gave us a great strategy, and that was, in any culture, it takes time to teach something and reteach something, especially when you've been taught wrong. And so what we did was, for a whole 6 months or so, we did a teaching on the history of the Sabbath, from everything from when the true Sabbath was in the book of Acts, where the Jews and the Gentiles were both worshiping together, observing feast days. Then we went into the early church fathers, how Constantine came in and changed the real Sabbath day. And we not only gave history, but we also gave Bible, because people need to see in the Word of God exactly why we should believe this. And so when we did that, it gave them a great foundation to be really settled in it. And when we made the switch, by the time we said, okay, our first Sabbath service is going to be such and such date, people were already excited about it because the teaching was so extensive.
Wonderful. Now, you're already known to the Torah Life audience because you made another video which was very popular and about the kosher diet, and specifically you spoke about lobster.
Yes.
So it was a little noisy back then. So tell everybody exactly what you were saying about kosher food, specifically lobster.
Well, and like you said, it's easier to change a man's religion than it is his diet. And so I'll never forget when we did our teaching on the kashrut laws. Again, it came against some of the sacred cows in our life, because we grew up, eating the catfish and the crab and the crawfish and the shrimp and all of that. And me, myself, I was a great shrimp lover. But when we started teaching on all of that, people was really just, oh gosh, he could have talked about my money before he touched my food, you know what I mean? And so it was great. And so when we even did the teaching on how the pig, God was against the pig because it is a deceitful animal. It will put forth its hoof, and from the front of it, you would think it has a split hoof, but it does not. So it's a deceitful animal. And God relates animal to people. So when you eat of the pig, you naturally attract deceitful people into your life. And so when we were teaching about, the catfish and the lobster and the crawfish, we were really teaching that God created those things not to be meant for consumption, but as to vacuum the ocean floor, so to speak. So in other words, we eat what they eat. So if they're eating nothing but toxins and bacteria of the ocean floor, when we consume those, things, then we are eating those same toxins. And so when I taught, I really broke down lobster in the fact that a lot of people did not know, but it's on the internet. You can Google it, you can research it. But what I didn't know myself was that lobster is part of the cockroach family. In fact, they call it the cockroach of the ocean floor. And when you lift up a lobster, look on the bottom side of it and do the same thing with a cockroach. They look very similar, and that is something that people never knew. And so when I brought that teaching out, people just literally just went, their minds just went everywhere, And, especially the part when I taught them that, when you eat the lobster, it is not really meat. It's really actually boiled pus that you're eating. So you boil that lobster, you boil the pus, and you dip it in butter and you enjoy it. And it's not really meat when you look at it. So that made a big difference in everyone's life.
Well, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth, but they got to hear the truth. And it's a great thing. What would your advice be to other pastors that are watching and they're starting to learn the revelation about Torah, but they don't know how to present it to their friends, family, and congregation? What would your advice be to them?
Well, my first advice is to all pastors who are first getting into the Torah. It is important that when you walk into the Torah, that you first have a Torah teacher in your life. And that is one thing that really helped me to understand some of the things concerning the Torah. You need someone there, a mentor, that will help guide you through the Torah, exactly what it is, and help break it down to you so that you as a pastor, as a spiritual leader, can break it down in a language where your people can understand it. And that is something that is very important. I believe you just can't say, I'm going to get into the Torah and think you can do it yourself. It takes a mentor. It takes a teacher. And it will do nothing but improve your life. It's Yeshua said that I have come that they might have life and that more abundantly. But the problem is we never knew what the abundant life was. Well, the Torah is that abundant life. When you observe these principles, there are 613 of them, your life is blessed spiritually, emotionally, financially, and physically. And so you see blessings all throughout your life. Of course, we're saved not by works, but through the blood of Yeshua. But it's those works that bring us the blessings. And so you have to get a hold of Torah in your own understanding, settle it in your own spirit before you can ever teach it. And so that's what happened to me. I was grateful enough to where Yahweh sent a rabbi into my life and helped me to understand some things. And now, whenever I have a question, I have a mentor, and so I can ask those questions. But for the most part, we're enjoying it. And I think this will do nothing but help improve your congregation in their lives and in your walk with Yahweh himself.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us where your congregation is and how people can get in touch with you if they would like to.
Well, again, the name of our church is Destiny Tabernacle of Worship, and we're located 712 Northampton Road in DeSoto, Texas. Currently, we're working on our website. We're reconstructing our website, and that is because, of course, when you walk into Torah, you want to present, your ministry on a website true to what it is. And the old website that we had was not doing that. So we're reconstructing that and saying now we're a Torah observant church, so this is what you can expect when you visit us. But other than that, you can come to DeSoto. We're right in the heart of DeSoto off of Hampton Road, and come and visit us. Of course, we have Wednesday night Bible study at 7, and of course we do observe the Sabbath on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Paul. You've been great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Shalom.
Shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah Life Ministries, come out of the world.